And the world is made of energy, and the world is electricity.
Hey, I'm Nicole from KVRX, and so we at KVRX are traveling forward in time, and I'm here with Apples in Stereo, who are traveling backwards in time. They were kind enough to meet us here. Would you guys like to introduce yourselves? Right in the middle of time.
Yeah, we were able to like intersect at this moment. Cool. Thank you for having us on your show.
And would you like to introduce yourselves?
I'm John. I'm the drummer, and I've been with the Apples for about 4 years now.
He really rocks. I'm Robert Schneider, and I'm the lead singer of the band. And I've been in the band since we formed, which was like, it was quite a long time ago now. We were very young, like 1992 or something like that. I think we were like 20, 21. Anyway, yes, I've been in the band for a long time.
So someone comes to you and says, speaking of being in the band for a long time, someone comes to you and they say, okay, we're going to commission a puppet show based on the story of Apples in Stereo. And the first question for you is it
master?
Okay? would it be sock puppets or marionettes? And I guess who is the puppet master?
Robert is definitely the puppet master, and I think it would be a combination of sock puppets and marionettes for sure.
Perhaps maybe we would have live dancers, but they would be operated by mind control.
So people puppets of the future.
I don't know.
I think that's where we're at now. Isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that what we just finished doing?
I hope so.
Is possibility, and the world is made of energy.
So if you had to trade in your tour van or airplane or car or hitchhiking or whatever, time machine in this case, for a dinosaur, what would you trade it for?
Maybe one of those escalator, elevator things at the airport that would make you walk twice as fast as you actually walk.
Yeah, those are amazing.
Can we incorporate that into our show?
Yeah, you should.
So do you know that the first installation of that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to point at you. The first installation of that was at Disneyland, or maybe it was Disney World in Tomorrowland at Disneyland,
Yes,
right?
yes,
That was
yes.
the
Really?
Yeah, it was invented. It was invented for that
Yeah,
place.
the People
And
Mover was
Tomorrowland, I
invented
was
for
there
Disney.
about 3 years ago with my family on vacation, and being in Tomorrowland, I went as a kid, but being there brought back all these great feelings of childhood, but also it's so futuristic in a retro way that I like had an epiphany that was how our new album needed to sound. So like it literally, like all the stainless steel and the big flashing light bulbs and the computery sounds and the moving sidewalks and stuff, you know, the sort of vision of the future of it being like this perfect technology or something, like that totally like partially influenced the sound of the record, and it totally influenced the vision. Like I was like, we're making a futuristic album. Well, our album's gonna sound like this, moving sidewalks. What was your question again about dinosaurs?
Doesn't matter. So a lot of people really love your albums, and especially this latest one, because there's such good hooks and such good pop. And so what does pop mean to you?
Thanks. Okay. Oh man, that's a good question. I guess pop means it's something that you instantly want to sing along with. I guess that's probably the most important part. I would say it's something that means something to a lot of people, like that has some sort of a universal sentiment, and at the same time is like interesting enough that you want to listen to it over and over again and you can't stop. At least that's what we try to do with our kind of brand of pop. Yeah, I think that.
And without being overly flattering, it worked. So it did. The last album, yeah.
I would say that Robert, in my opinion, is it's confusing traveling in space and time, but Robert, I would say at this moment is the best songwriter when it comes to pop music, in my opinion.
No, you're just saying that because you're in my band.
Well,
you're like fond of me and stuff. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
That was
Not true.
this
He
moment.
he himself is a brilliant songwriter. But thank you.
So we're talking about pop music, but also you have an interest in math. You've created your own non-Pythagorean scale. I don't know, Pythagorean scale. Non-Pythagorean scale, which actually based on irrational numbers. Versus rational numbers. And so I guess my question is really cool and interesting how this scale works. You can actually check it out on the website, exactly how the scale works. It's actually based on logarithms.
You mean on
but
Apple's website?
yes.
Oh yeah, we posted like wave files so you could load it up into your computer, your sampler, and mess around and experiment with components.
Yeah, you can actually pull up the scale onto your own keyboard and play with this scale. And so I guess my question for you is, how does this scale, and so you've used it in your music, and so how does this scale translate into music, and how does it change the texture of the music, I guess?
Well, okay, let me think for just a second about that. That's an interesting question that I wondered myself for a long time, because after I thought of how that like scale could exist, it's based on logarithms, right? And logarithms are like a really kind of fundamental function in math. And like logarithms have special properties of addition and subtraction. And basically what that leads to is that if you play chords in a scale, it occurred to me once, sort of in like this revelation, you can make a scale tuned to logarithms, and if you played chords with the scale, the chords, when you play notes together, there's something called beat frequencies. It has something to do with how the notes interact, right? There's these extra overtones, kind of like harmonics, right? They're not exactly harmonics, but they're like harmonics. Okay, so like, and the harmonics, the overtones are also, if you choose it right, are also members of the scale. So like it's possible, which isn't the case with the normal scale on the piano. So like that in itself gives a nice quality to the logarithmic scale that like I thought was cool even before I ever heard it. Like I almost didn't care how it sounded, because it had this cool property of you being able to compose with the overtones, and they're also part of the scale. And when I say like compose with overtones, it almost sounds like they have a feeling of texture to them, like almost like sometimes crickets chirping, sometimes they have a feeling like bells ringing. Like the chords have this, you're basically hearing the mathematics of logarithms different from the mathematics of fractions that you hear when you play chords normally. And like, let's see, did I answer the question? No, I don't think I did. Let me think. Yeah, oh, but it's cool though, because it almost like, it has these overtones that almost sound like sounds in nature, or sometimes, like I said, crickets chirping, or like machinery, like bells ringing, or like a factory, depending on the chord you play. It's got a really cool kind of like additional color to the chords.
Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you, you're awesome. Thanks for having us.